to the Balenciaga show. That has been revealed in a recent interview in The Cut by the new creative director for Balenciaga. And it raises some really interesting questions about Meghan's alleged future in...
What is this? What is happening? What we have here is a complete and utter disaster. Are we going for Star Wars? Because I don't like it. Drama and blanky chic? Maybe that's the direction we're going. What is this nonsense? What is happening? What is this face? Look at her sucking in her cheeks all night long. Look at her do it.
Oh, please. All that royal charm, all that Hollywood sparkle, and what does Paris do? Gives her the most epic eye roll in couture history.
To this new line. Now, I would say that it was profoundly negative, but when you speak about other royals, I actually looked this up because somebody asked about it, and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, has some Balenciaga earrings.
On the surface, it looked like the comeback of the century. Meghan Markle, the Duchess herself, strutting into Paris Fashion Week like she owned the city. Heels clicking, gown flowing, hair so glossy it could have had its own endorsement deal. Cameras flashed, editors gasped, and the crowd leaned in. The world seemed ready to bow again. The Duchess was back, and she knew every single lens was on her.
Look at her do it. The duck facing is embarrassing to watch. I can't take it. It's gross. It's terrible.
Backstage, though, whole different movie. It should have been buzzing. Hair dryers whirring, makeup artists flying around, assistants sprinting. You know that gorgeous chaos. But the moment Meghan walked in, the air just died, like someone hit the mute button on Paris Fashion Week. Stylists exchanged side eyes, makeup artists whispered, assistants suddenly became so busy pretending to organize brushes. Meghan tried to make polite small talk, a smile here, a nod there. But insiders said it felt staged, like she was delivering lines from a script she hadn't memorized properly.
Interest. So you just gotta wonder, did Balenciaga get out of it what it wanted to? Did Meghan get out of it what she wanted it to? And is it really appropriate to invite yourself to a fashion?
The whole vibe dropped, one insider sighed. You've seen diva entrances before, but this wasn't confidence. It was discomfort.
Makes a model a model is being effortlessly graceful. Meghan's not graceful, and she's very effortful in her attempts at reaching that benchmark of being graceful, and she's not getting anywhere close.
Even the photographers, usually bouncing off walls for the perfect shot, just froze. One of them even joked, it felt like everyone was scared to breathe too close. You could literally see people backing away in slow motion.
Creative director himself, the alleged quote-unquote friend of Meghan Markle, has portrayed definitely a different narrative than what I felt like her team was trying to push when it came to her appearance at Paris Fashion Week, because it seemed to be a culmination of Meghan's many...
Now, in the world of high fashion, proximity is power. Standing close to the right person means you're in. But Meghan, she was practically quarantined by distance. Nobody wanted to share space, and then the whispers began. That deadly kind of whisper, who invited her again?
Being graceful, and she's not getting anywhere close. It's sad, it's weird, it's gross. The duck facing alone, being over 40 years old, is pathetic. I can't take it. I can't even take myself seriously trying to suck in.
And it wasn't just Parisian snobbery. Oh no, this was surgical, precise, deliberate. The kind of cold shoulder that leaves you questioning if it's you or the entire room. In Paris, authenticity is everything. And when someone doesn't belong, honey, you can feel it.
Compared to the more haute couture side of Paris Fashion Week. And it has been speculated for many years that Meghan has really wanted some sort of relationship with Christian.
By the time Meghan reached the mirrors, stylists and assistants were acting, pretending to fuss with brushes, fluff dresses, anything to avoid meeting her eyes. She stood there trying to radiate confidence with that "I swear I belong here" smile. But everyone saw right through it. Paris might be the city of glamour, but backstage that night, it was the city of judgment. Meghan Markle learned in real time that the spotlight outside is easy. It's backstage where the real verdict gets delivered. For someone used to royal spotlights and Hollywood red carpets, Paris was supposed to be her victory lap, her moment to dazzle, to remind everyone she could walk into a room and command it. But instead, the cameras weren't cheering, the editors weren't swooning, and the paparazzi were basically yawning. Sure, cameras clicked, flashes popped, but the spark was missing. Editors who usually beg for selfies didn't bother. Photographers who fight for the perfect angle, they politely stepped back. It was as if the energy had flatlined. "She wasn't giving what Paris wanted," murmured one reporter. "And in this city, you can't fake authenticity. Paris smells it from 50 paces away." And then the gossip began. Not about her outfit, not her smile, not even her perfect walk. Oh no, this was juicier. Something that made all the usual fashion chatter sound boring. A few backstage staffers swore they caught a whiff of something. One called it a mix of cheap perfume and stress. Another whispered, "You can fix hair, you can fix foundation, but you can't fix that aura." Harsh? Absolutely. But in Paris, rumors are the real currency, and this one was spending like royalty. Suddenly, Meghan wasn't the guest of honor. She was the topic. The dresses, the runway, the couture, all forgotten. Backstage buzz turned into one giant gossip chain. Paris had a very specific definition of glamour, and whatever Meghan was serving, it wasn't on the menu. Apple News even jumped in. Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, made a surprise appearance at her first Paris Fashion Week. What was meant to be a glorious night turned into a lesson in rejection. Ouch! Cameras captured her beauty, but not her acceptance. And here's the cruel twist. In Paris, applause is easy to fake. Silence isn't. Then there was the walk. Oh my god, the walk. Those enormous heels, that awkward stride. People online were brutal, calling it Zoolander gone wrong. The glamour faded, the whispers louder. For the first time that evening, Meghan might have realized that even the most polished duchess can't survive the City of Lights' razor-sharp gaze. One designer even spilled later. "She texted me herself," he laughed. "There was no plan, no big strategy. She just said she'd love to come so much for the exclusive royal invite." By the middle of the show, all eyes weren't on the runway anymore. They were on Meghan. Backstage, gossip spread faster than perfume mist. Stylists whispering in corners, assistants giggling behind clipboards, makeup artists pretending to focus but clearly eavesdropping. "She's turned herself into a joke," one stylist groaned. "Who makes that face and expects to be taken seriously?" Another murmured, "Did you smell that?" Half shocked, half horrified, others said it wasn't just perfume. It was nerves, sweat, maybe even desperation. "You can fix contour," one joked, "but you can't fix that." Brutal honesty? Definitely. But that's Paris for you. And the kicker? Meghan wasn't even a carefully chosen guest of honor. The designer admitted she asked to come. Translation, she invited herself. And for Paris, where invitations are sacred, that's the ultimate faux pas. A stylist summed it up in one brutal line. Balenciaga didn't crown her, they tolerated her. That's Parisian for you're not one of us. Fashion fails in her very presence at the Paris Fashion Week. For someone with Meghan's supposed royal Hollywood blend, this was supposed to be her sparkling redemption arc. The grand reminder that she was still that girl. But reality? Oh, it was brutal. Her designer gowns, those custom couture looks that were meant to scream prestige, turned out to be borrowed samples. Yep, tags still dangling. Not tailored, not fitted, not hers. In the world of high fashion, that's a quiet humiliation. A-list stars usually get flooded with couture. Custom pieces crafted to fit their aura. Designers beg them to wear their work. But Meghan, she wasn't being courted, she was being tolerated. And in Paris, tolerated is just a polite way of saying, "We'll let you stand here, but please don't think it's applause." One stylist summed it up bluntly. Balenciaga didn't crown her, they tolerated her. That's the polite Parisian way of saying you're not one of us. Ouch. The hits kept coming. Photographers captured her standing tall, smiling bravely, pretending to radiate confidence. But insiders saw the tells. The tug at a too long hem, the awkward adjustment of a strap, the flicker of discomfort when a flash went off. She looked like someone wearing armor that didn't fit, someone trying to borrow confidence along with a borrowed gown. To the crowd, she looked glamorous, but to those in the know, it was the opposite. Paris is obsessed with authenticity, and Meghan's glamour, though pretty, wasn't real. They say borrowed couture can dress the body, but it can't disguise judgment. And in that room, judgment was practically perfume in the air. Even the smallest wardrobe details, mismatched fabrics, hems too harshly cut, creases that didn't belong, whispered the same thing: she doesn't belong here. Every seam was a story, every ill-fitted line a reminder. Paris noticed, the fashion world is a hierarchy, silent, ruthless, and coded, and Meghan had just learned that there's nothing lonelier than being well-dressed but uninvited. Still, she held her chin high. That iconic smile didn't falter. Cameras ate it up, social media swooned, but backstage, people who'd been in this world for decades just shook their heads. Paris. Paris isn't fooled, one editor said. Charm is easy. Energy doesn't lie. And boy, the energy was tense. Insiders described it like watching someone trying too hard. Every gesture was over-rehearsed, every smile too measured, every nod just a little too precise. She spoke, they nodded back politely. But that was it. No warmth, no laughter, just silence. In Paris, indifference is deadlier than mockery. It's like a frozen smile that says, "You're invisible here." To the cameras, she looked serene. But to those inside that room, her smile looked like someone trying to hold on, aware that the crowd had already decided. Her whole persona, the poise, the polished grace, was built on control. But Paris has a way of slicing through image like silk. Then came the scandal that shook everything, the one that made even the gossip about the scent seem tame. Paris had barely finished whispering about her borrowed gown when Meghan did something no one saw coming. She left the fashion show and got into a car. Routine, right? Except the car drove through the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. Yes, that tunnel. The very one where Princess Diana tragically lost her life in 1997. And suddenly, the internet exploded. Clips of Meghan in the car flooded social media. TikTok, Twitter, everywhere. The headlines wrote themselves. Meghan drives through Diana's tunnel after Balenciaga show. People couldn't decide if it was tragic, disrespectful, or deliberate. Paris is a city of symbolism. Nothing is ever just coincidence here. Locals couldn't believe it was unintentional. She knows what that tunnel means, one journalist said. She studied Diana. She's obsessed with Diana. This wasn't random. Her team was quick to issue statements, saying it was just the fastest route to her hotel. But no one was buying it. The whispers turned venomous. Was she paying tribute or turning tragedy into PR? And it got darker, and some said the drive was designed to mirror Diana's final moments. The photos, the angles, even the soft lighting. Coincidence? Maybe. But Paris didn't think so. One commentator said it plainly. If this was meant to honor Diana, it failed. It looked like performance art gone wrong. And that's the thing. Paris loves symbolism, but hates fakery. The backlash was swift and merciless. Online, people were posting side-by-side videos of Meghan's car passing through the tunnel next to old footage of Diana's final night. Cosplaying tragedy, one viral tweet called it. Even her supporters fell silent. Every outlet, French, British, American, ran the same story. What was Meghan thinking? French tabloids called it intentional. British ones called it eerie. American ones played safe, a coincidence with tragic undertones. But behind closed doors, people whispered the same word over and over: obsession. She's not honoring Diana, one fashion insider told a reporter. She's trying to be her. That's when the tone shifted entirely. This wasn't a fashion story anymore. It was a psychological one. The comparisons between Meghan and Diana have always been there, but this was the moment it turned uncomfortable. What was once admiration now looked like mimicry. People who'd loved Diana felt uneasy. Is this tribute or theater? They asked. Paris doesn't reward theater disguised as emotion. It exposes it. And that night, Meghan's image, so carefully crafted, so painfully managed, began to unravel. Total car crash. Here is a brand forever destroyed. Harsh words, but they stuck. By the next morning, no one was talking about the gowns anymore, or the Balenciaga debut, or the crowd. It was all about the tunnel. That one car ride had hijacked her entire story. Backstage gossip about perfume and posture suddenly felt small compared to what the world was now calling the Diana stunt. Every major outlet debated it. Every gossip channel dissected it. And suddenly, Meghan Markle, the Duchess who'd once been celebrated for breaking barriers, became the woman accused of breaking boundaries of taste. Her fascination with Diana, her every symbolic move, now felt unsettling. What once inspired sympathy, now inspired suspicion. She's turned legacy into content, said one commentator flatly. And in Paris, where authenticity is sacred, that's unforgivable.